Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Moon Knight Episode 4 just gave this series its Gator Loki meets Pietro at the door WTF twist, as plowing through the doors of Marc and Steven's underworld mental hospital was...
Hello?
Aw man, it's just some random guy? No, I am sorry to blaspheme the Egyptian goddess of fertility, but that sweet hello and hippo ear wiggle from Taweret just made my heart melt. And I'm sure all of you are now wondering, what this hippo lady is all about? So in this video, I'm gonna explain who Taweret is and what her appearance here tells us about what is going on in this episode 4 final scene, as well as the wider nature of spirituality in the MCU. Now the best way to support us here at New Rockstars is to get our Moon Knight inspired Tomb of the Moon God shirt at newrockstarsmerch.com. We are almost sold out of these, so you gotta move fast. So Taweret or Tawaret, there are probably multiple ways to pronounce this and they are all wrong. She is the Egyptian goddess of fertility, childbirth, and in general protection. Her name translates to the Great One, and she takes the form of a hippopotamus. The hippopotamus, considered one of the fiercest creatures in all of Africa. She is voiced here by the actress Antonia Salib, and she's credited for not just this episode, but also episodes 5 and 6. But this actually is not Tawaret's first appearance in Moon Knight. She got a shout out in the very first episode when Donna and Steven did inventory at the museum.
Bring those hippos up here, will you?
Yeah, sure. Taweret. The hippo. Goddess Taweret.
Now, episode 4's ending seems to reframe all the events of this series as delusions, possibly within Marc or Steven's mind, with Donna herself clutching one of these plush toys, that of the scarab, but I actually think it's the other way around. The underworld realm that Marc and Steven now occupy is being populated with projections of people and imagery from their waking lives. More on that in a bit, but perhaps the more critical Tawaret's sighting has come in every episode during the credit sequence. One shot has shown a lineup of all the other Ushabti stone figurines. One of them, on the back right, is clearly Tawaret. She has been watching us since the beginning, protecting us, wiggling those ears the whole time. Now, these Ushabtis appeared beside the entrance of the Ennead's temple, inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, and in wall cubbyholes in the opening shot of episode 4, suggesting that the 5 members of the Ennead have banished countless other deities before they did this to Khonshu and Ammit, and that one of those deities was Tawaret. Now, our friends at Epic Hero Shop have some of the coolest shirts in merch. They have a new Spider-Man No Way Home shirt with the lovable face of Peter J. Parker and a "who the hell is this" phrase. I mean, our brains were wiped. Who is this handsome devil? They have also just released the latest in their Tales from the Multiverse series with a memorable boy wizard taking on the Sorcerer Supreme mantle. What? So put your order in as soon as possible so you can wear it opening night. Another very cool shirt to wear to the theater would be the Wanda variant of the Unusual Couple shirt. It's an augmented reality shirt, so your friends in line for popcorn can use their phones to unlock a video layer on that shirt. And you better believe they released a Strongest Avenger trucker hat about 10 seconds after the Thor Love and Thunder trailer dropped. So get yourself one of these or any of their Marvel, Star Wars, and DC inspired gear at EpicHeroShop.com. They've got more Moon Knight shirts than Khonshu has avatars. Sign up for their newsletter at the bottom of their website to get notified about the merch drops. Be your own hero. Now, my interpretation of the episode 4 ending is that this is Marc and Steven's perspective of the MCU underworld, called the Duat in Egyptian mythology, which Steven explained back in the first episode.
They believed you needed your heart to be judged in the underworld, and only the worthiest would be allowed to pass through the field of reeds.
Did it suck for you? Getting rejected from the field of reeds?
Well, that don't make sense, because I'm not dead, am I?
Stevie.
Am I?
So I think either literally or metaphorically, this whole series has been that voyage through the field of reeds. Episode 1 showed Marc passing a thick tangle of brooms on the sidewalk outside his door, a detail that seemed very random at the time, but now I think might have represented those reeds. In that episode, Ammit was unable to judge Steven, maybe because Steven wasn't ready to be judged. That comes at the end of the voyage. Episode 2 showed him running along the River Thames. Episode 3 showed him and Layla on a boat, cruising along the River Nile. And now finally in episode 4, he sinks into the depths, like that sunken boat we have seen at the bottom of Gus's fish tank. And we know from promo footage that at some point this season, we will see an Egyptian boat in some purple tinted landscape paddling through waves of sand. And since the Ennead lives in the Overvoid, I think that the mental hospital represents the underworld. Marc, as a DID patient linked with an Egyptian moon deity, manifests this afterlife plane the way other MCU characters with godly powers see their afterlives. T'Challa T'Challa, imbued with the power of Bast, sees it as the ancestral plane, a savanna that's populated with his ancestors as panthers. Thanos, imbued with the cosmic power of all 6 Infinity Stones, saw it as the Zehoberei Gate, where he first met his daughter Gamora. All of this represents a spiritual plane where souls in the MCU elevated to the godly tier go to, a place where their inner desires manifest the appearance of that reality. For Marc and Steven, it's a mental hospital based on the pamphlet back in episode 2, a place where they just want to get help, yet still their inner self-doubt casts the staff of that hospital as their greatest enemies. And inside of this realm, they are united with all the other deities the Ennead has turned into Ushaptis, Khonshu, Ammit, and Tawaret. Tawaret, in addition to being the goddess of fertility, is also a source of rejuvenation, guiding souls through the Duat. She can be a helpful companion for Marc during this transition toward either passage or resurrection. One deity to be a friend to this guy when every other deity really wants to exploit him. But why would the Ennead banish Tawaret? A sweetheart doula just protecting all mothers and babies. And if she's just one of many statues, why is this character such a focal character coming back in episodes 5 and 6? Well, I think we can all agree after episode 3 showed that the Ennead's approach to justice is complete bullshit. They side with Arthur Harrow's ad hominem attacks on Marc's mental health, refusing to look at Harrow's crimes in progress just because one witness was a little unreliable. There was that whole moment with Osiris and Harrow at the end of episode 3 where someone's clearly lining the other's pockets. So I think this corruption, plus the missing members of the Ennead, and Hathor and Horus not even supposed to be on this panel but just randomly promoted to it, plus all of these other randomly banished gods, all of this is intentional evidence that the Ennead is corrupt and very much on a power trip, looking for every excuse to lock up the deities that just are not in alignment with their views. So Tawaret represents fertility and childbirth, concepts that don't necessarily apply to Marc and Steven that much, since their story seems more about death and reality and control. Also, you know, their plumbing is different. But the fact that Tawaret was banished could mean the Ennead overreacted to something else Tawaret was up to, something with major implications for other concurrent events in the MCU. Now, we know from the GRC Easter egg in episode 2 that Moon Knight takes place in the post-blip MCU world, when the population suddenly increased as the 50% of the life that dust had suddenly returned. This is something that every Marvel Disney Plus series keeps touching on. The chaos when Monica returned in the hospital in WandaVision, the strain on Earth's resources necessitating the GRC's existence in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the population toll on the environment, culminating in the destruction of Haven Hills, Alabama in 2050, seen in Loki, and Yelena's return in Hawkeye, and in Eternals, a movie that opened with another sighting of the GRC billboard, also in London. We learned that this population increase was the trigger that finally awakened Tiamat, which nearly resulted in the complete destruction of this planet. Now, the Ennead made it clear that they do not interfere with human affairs, a sharp contrast with the godly protectors like the Eternals, whom the Ennead must have crossed paths with at some point, or at least knew they existed, as we saw among Makari's collection several Egyptian artifacts. So, if Tawaret is the goddess of childbirth, the Ennead might have cruelly punished her for, in their bullshit logic, overdoing things when it comes to human reproduction on this planet, like unwittingly nursing a sleeping celestial. Banishing Tawaret could have been their form of population control. And now, a side effect of this banishment may be seen in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is a story about motherhood. Wanda is unable to find her children throughout the multiverse and just wants to live in a reality where she can be a mother. Now, I don't know if Moon Knight or Multiverse of Madness will make this link explicit. Like, I don't know if Doctor Strange 2 has room for hippo goddesses in it, but Wanda's struggle is occurring in the context of a reality where the goddess assigned to protect mothers has been banished to the underworld. Now, I guess how aligned those stars are really depends on who you pray to. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching, Tawaret.